Hi both, thank you for coming to speak to us today. I know you're here to talk about long-term broker-insurer partnerships in a shifting market, so I've got a few questions for you if that's okay.
Wonderful.
What does a long-term partnership actually look like in practice, and how is this different from a transactional broker-insurer relationship?
Long-term partnership is exactly what it's about the future and what we're actually doing together rather than being very reactive. And I think that's the key, definitely with our insurer partners, is about communication.
Yes.
And it's about looking forward. So very much what we're doing with Markel is looking at 27, 28, 29, and rather than looking and chasing down premium or objectives in the short term for us.
That's great. Fran, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I'd say the difference between it being transactional and strategic is looking at the long-term view of it. So things don't always go well, so it's about actually weathering the storm together as a partnership and not kind of exiting when it gets tough, and having that mutual kind of growth opportunities and really exploring how you can do that as two businesses.
So when the market does come under pressure, so whether that's pricing, capacity, appetite, what behaviours really test the strength of a broker and insurer relationship?
I'd say honesty, having difficult conversations and working through that together. Probably the most appropriate time for a relationship to really be tested.
Yeah.
And you either come out really strong or your relationship is exposed at that point.
For me, it's being very clear about the strength of the relationship. And again, going back to that honesty bit, it's around actually admitting where there are gaps and how can we fill those gaps, so that we can have those more difficult conversations. It's also pairing the right people with each other as well. I think very much we see it with others in terms of being, well, I think I've got a good relationship there, and the other person's going, well, I don't even know who that person is.
Yeah.
So it's being admitting on that and help the wider group support how we fill those gaps.
Yeah, making sure that foundation's there in the partnership
absolutely.
before. So how important is shared insight and mutual investment in sustaining long-term partnerships?
Well, data's the buzzword, isn't it? And insight. Everyone wants data, everyone wants lots of it. I think the most important thing is, it's, again, going back, is being as transparent as possible. You've got to have that trust in the relationship to be able to share each other's data and work for the benefit of our joint objectives rather than just feeling like we're disclosing too much.
Yeah.
And we use the insight in just everyday decision making, so both on the ground but also like any strategic meetings that we're having. So that insight just really does like prop up decision making as two businesses.
And can you share a specific example of where our partnership has made a real difference?
Probably where we've built like bespoke products. So, we're really working together to get a really good client outcome and exploring what that looks like, and where you can do that with a partner that has more experience in a sector that we want to go into and really learning from them. So I think that's probably the best example that we've got of that kind of shared partnership.
It's understanding each other's proposition, so understanding our joint objectives and how we can support that. And I think where Markel and Howden have worked very well is exactly what Fran said. It's looking at what are Markel very strong at, what is the need of Howden and our clients, and how can we work together to get a market-leading proposition both for our clients and for each other to make sure that we're satisfying our goals at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you both. So there's often a perception that broker-insurer relationships are only driven by pricing and product alone. Do you think that's a misconception? What do you think is the biggest misconception of what actually makes partnerships work?
I think that's definitely a misconception. Those things, they matter, but the strategic partnership goes a lot more into it. So the trust, the relationship building, being able to weather a storm, especially in a constantly changing market like we're in at the moment, and really just understanding how both our businesses want to grow and being able to leverage each other's strengths.
The markets go hard and soft, and very much that's when the true test of relationship is. Yes, on so many accounts it is transactional, but I think again that's where people go wrong, and that becomes very reactive. And to underpin everything that we said already, that's when relationships are strained, and it's also a test of, do you actually have a good relationship?
Yeah.
So I think especially at the moment we're going for a very, very soft market, so it's more important that we're working collaboratively on the outcome for the client and to protect our own book of business, rather than just almost fighting for the top line and your growth objectives. Everyone knows that insurers have to grow profitably. Everyone knows that with brokers we need to grow as well, and we need to protect our client base. how we do that together to protect both our financial goals is so important. And when it becomes transactional, that's when things have gone wrong.
Yeah.
And it's having the consistency throughout. So, in a market that's constantly changing, consistency through that comes a lot more from a strategic relationship than a transactional one.
We want to pride ourselves to know exactly what's important to Markel. So we very much see the partnership with Markel as specific to Markel, not just an off-the-shelf partnership that we give to all our insurer partners. What's important to Markel versus what's important to Howden, and making sure we're sharing that. And it goes back to the insight, it goes back to communication, and then that's what underpins our relationship.
So what comes to mind when you think of Markel?
Orange.
Orange, yeah.
No, the brand is strong, and I think what you are known from our point of view as a specialist insurer, and that you're very good in the areas that you play.
I would add that you would think of, like, for me as an employee, I think of the people, the expertise that we have, and the specialisms that we work in, and really getting to know those sectors really well rather than just having a bit of a broad brush approach to it. So, our insights into the care market and that industry and what we can do to really help those clients is really important.
I think also the people thing is important. So I would say I look at Markel and you do seem to care about your people, and that's very much an important factor for Howden. It's a people-first business in Howden. Lucky enough to be on a panel talking to your graduate and apprenticeship scheme, and just the strength and depth and the numbers in the room that you're investing in the future is testament to how you're attracting talent.
Oh, thank you.
Which probably leads on to your next question.
It does. So you did mention it briefly earlier, Richard, about planning for the future and our partnership. So what's next for your partnership with Markel in 2026 and beyond?
It is about realising the strength of the overall group relationship. So Howden Group is far more than just a UK commercial retail pillar. Markel is far bigger than Markel UK in terms of the products and what it's about for us is how do we truly underpin our partnerships with recognising the strength and relevance that we are to each other, rather than individually looking at your regional footprint and going, well, we don't really do much with Howden there, so I'm not going to spend. No, you're far more important to that. How do we make decisions? How do we grow? How do we utilise your products? And how do we work with your UK colleagues, your international colleagues, to really cement and push you up in terms of our top 10 partners?
Extending that partnership, growing it.
And again, working towards that kind of joint business goals for 2030, and really understanding the kind of doing the right business in the right way, but together, and making it really impactful.
Yeah, what's next for us? What's on our objectives for
the next 5 years? Double in size.
Double in size. Everyone loves a double, but. No, I think, as I say, we're really trying to push forward on your financial line strength. We're trying to push forward on your care strength and expertise, and utilising, as I say, the wider parts of Markel. Your legal expenses is market leading. And so how do we integrate that with your commercial business and utilise that? So,
where are you currently seeing the strongest emerging talent coming through in the market, and what stands out about them?
Within Howden, we're doing a couple of things. We're not only looking at the graduate and the apprenticeship and the internships and building that. We're looking at the return to workers. We're looking at that. I think there's a gap in the market at the moment in terms of that kind of mid-30s, early 40s in terms of where do we help assist people come into the insurance industry to fill those gaps, because it is tough. We're a very underestimated industry in terms of, like, none of us are sitting here together, so we definitely wanted to be in insurance when we were 6 years old going. But at the same time, it's such an exciting industry. I think there are a couple of insurers that are really investing in future leadership programs, upskilling, training. Definitely the graduate still is important. But also I say that apprenticeship, working with colleges, working with schools to get the younger generation actually excited about insurance.
Yeah.
It's great. What's not to love?
We all love insurance,
None
of us really plan to be in here. I think the most common saying I always hear is I fell into insurance, and I certainly fell into insurance. But it's such a fantastic industry that can give you such a breadth of kind of opportunities, and I think that's really important. And I think the more we can highlight that as an industry, the more we're likely to see emerging talent come through. And I suppose the advice that we probably give that emerging talent, so I think, for me, it's about actually just doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. really kind of having integrity, building those relationships, and then being curious about every part of the industry and where it can take you. And I think it's an industry that's got so much in it, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, tapping into that emerging talent, making sure they know how exciting insurance is. Thank you both for talking to me today.
No problem.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.